You're listening to the CyberWire Network, powered by N2K.
Hey everybody, Dave here. I want to talk about our sponsor, LegalZoom. You know, I started my first business back in the early 90s, and what I would have done to have been able to have the services of an organization like LegalZoom back then. Just getting all of those business ducks in a row, all of that technical stuff, the legal stuff, the registrations of the business, the taxes, all of those things that you need to go through when you're starting a business, the hard stuff, the stuff that sucks up your time when you just want to get that business launched and out there. Well, LegalZoom has everything you need to launch, run, and protect your business all in one place. And they save you from wasting hours making sense of all that legal stuff. Launch, run, and protect your business to make it official today at LegalZoom.com. You can use promo code CYBER10 to get 10% off any LegalZoom business information product, excluding subscriptions and renewals. That expires at the end of this year. Get everything you need from setup to success at LegalZoom.com and use promo code CYBER10. That's LegalZoom.com and promo code CYBER10. LegalZoom provides access to independent attorneys and self-service tools. LegalZoom is not a law firm and does not provide legal advice except where authorized through its subsidiary law firm, LZ Legal Services, LLC. Federal agencies and Five Eyes partners list the past year's most exploited vulnerabilities. U.S. authorities hand down indictments in the Snowflake customer breach. Patch Tuesday updates. Zoom discloses multiple vulnerabilities. A China-linked hacker group has compromised Tibetan media and university websites. A cyber attack on a Dutch company affects over 2,000 U.S. grocery stores. Sheboygan suffers a ransomware attack. The White House plans to support a controversial U.S. cybercrime treaty. On today's CertByte segment, N2K's Chris Hare is joined by Dan Neville to break down a question from the CompTIA Security Plus certificate practice test. And Bitcoin Jesus faces $48 million in tax fraud charges. It's Wednesday, November 13th, 2024. I'm Dave Bittner, and this is your CyberWire Intel Briefing. Thanks for joining us here today. It's great to have you with us. CISA, the FBI, NSA, and Five Eyes intelligence agencies have identified the top 15 most exploited security vulnerabilities from last year, urging organizations to patch these flaws immediately. In a joint advisory, they emphasize the critical need for effective patch management to reduce network exposure. The report highlights an increase in zero-day exploits in 2023 compared to the previous year, noting that the majority of frequently targeted vulnerabilities were 0 days, which allowed attackers to infiltrate high-value targets more effectively. 12 of the top 15 vulnerabilities had patches released last year, underscoring the importance of swift patch deployment as cybercriminals continue targeting unpatched flaws. Leading the list is a code injection vulnerability in NetScaler ADC Gateway. This vulnerability, exploited by state actors, enabled remote code execution on unpatched servers, compromising U.S. critical infrastructure. By mid-August, hackers had used this flaw to backdoor over 2,000 Citrix servers worldwide. The advisory also mentions 32 additional vulnerabilities frequently exploited in 2023, offering guidance on minimizing risk. Meanwhile, MITRE recently updated its list of dangerous software weaknesses, underscoring ongoing challenges. Jeffrey Dickerson, NSA's cybersecurity director, warned that exploitation of known vulnerabilities will persist. urging network defenders to remain vigilant and proactive throughout 2024 and beyond. U.S. authorities have indicted Connor Mocha and John Binns, suspected cybercriminals accused of hacking into cloud platforms of major firms, the Snowflake customer breach, including AT&T, in a scheme targeting over 10 organizations. Mocha and Binns allegedly stole sensitive data and demanded ransoms totaling $2.5 million in digital currency. Mocha, a Canadian, was arrested by Canadian authorities on October 30th, while Binns, also charged in a 2021 T-Mobile breach, was detained by Turkish authorities. Though the indictment doesn't name specific victims, it aligns with earlier reports of breaches involving Snowflake clients like Ticketmaster and Santander. Researchers suggest Mocha and Binns are linked to The Com, a group tied to various criminal activities, including cyber extortion and violent crimes. Yesterday was Patch Tuesday. Microsoft has released patches for 89 vulnerabilities in Windows and other software, addressing two critical zero-day threats actively exploited by attackers. The first impacts Windows Task Scheduler, allowing attackers to elevate privileges. Google's threat analysis group identified it. The second enables attackers to spoof and expose NTLM v2 hashes used for authentication, raising the risk of pass-the-hash attacks, which let attackers act as legitimate users without needing passwords. Additional updates include a privilege escalation flaw in Active Directory and a spoofing vulnerability in Exchange Server. One notable threat affects Kerberos protocol in Windows domains, potentially allowing attackers to gain domain controller access. Microsoft also patched a critical flaw in .NET and Visual Studio and 29 memory-related issues in SQL Server. Siemens, Schneider Electric, CISA, and Rockwell Automation have issued November 2024 Patch Tuesday advisories addressing multiple critical vulnerabilities in industrial systems. Siemens released fixes for numerous products, notably a deserialization flaw in Telecontrol Server Basic, allowing unauthenticated code execution. Synec INS received updates for roughly 60 vulnerabilities, many involving third-party components, while Synec NMS and Scalance M800 addressed over a dozen issues each. High-severity patches target code execution risks in engineering platforms and stored cross-site scripting in OZW web servers, among others. Schneider Electric issued 4 advisories, including a critical EcoStruxure IT gateway flaw enabling system control and sensitive data access. PowerLogic PM5300 and Modicon controllers were also patched for denial of service and code execution risks. CISA's advisories include critical flaws in Subnet Power System Center and Hitachi TR-0600 radios, plus a Rockwell Factory Talk View ME remote code execution vulnerability. Rockwell additionally addressed several issues in Factory Talk Updater, including authentication bypass and privilege escalation. Zoom disclosed multiple vulnerabilities in its applications, including a critical buffer overflow flaw with a CVSS score of 8.5, allowing authenticated users to execute remote code. Another significant issue involves improper input validation, which could lead to unauthorized information disclosure. Affected products include the Workplace app, Rooms client, Video SDK, and Meeting SDK across Windows, macOS, iOS, Android, and Linux. Users are advised to update to the latest versions to mitigate risks. A China-linked hacker group, Tag112, has compromised Tibetan media and university websites in an espionage campaign to gather intelligence for Beijing. Tag112 targeted the Tibet Post and Gidmed Tantric University sites, exploiting vulnerabilities in the Joomla CMS to deploy Cobalt Strike, a cybersecurity tool repurposed for hacking. Researchers suggest Tag112 may be a subgroup of the Chinese state-sponsored group Evasive Panda, which also targets the Tibetan community. Both groups use hacked websites to prompt downloads of malicious files disguised as security certificates, aiming to monitor Tibetan and other ethnic minority groups that China deems subversive. A cyber attack on the Dutch parent of U.S. grocery chains like Stop & Shop, Hannaford, and Food Lion has disrupted online services, affecting over 2,000 stores. Customers faced issues with online orders, and some websites and pharmacy operations went offline. While in-store credit card transactions still work, delivery orders were canceled. The company is investigating with law enforcement and cybersecurity experts, taking some systems offline as a precaution. No hacking group has claimed responsibility, but similar incidents often involve ransomware targeting retail operations for quick payouts. The Wisconsin city of Sheboygan reported a ransomware attack that disrupted its computer networks. Officials discovered the issue in late October and began working with cybersecurity experts to secure the network. An external party gained unauthorized access and issued a ransom demand, which the city reported to law enforcement. Officials do not believe sensitive personal data was compromised, but will notify affected individuals if necessary. City phone lines remain operational, and the investigation is ongoing. Sheboygan thanked residents for their patience and emphasized its commitment to security. I'll add a personal note: the word Sheboygan is fun to say. The Biden administration plans to support a UN cybercrime treaty aimed at establishing global cooperation on cybercrime, despite concerns it could empower authoritarian regimes to surveil dissidents. While it would be the UN's first binding agreement on cybersecurity, critics worry it could be misused to target political opponents or censor Internet users. U.S. officials argue the treaty would help criminalize child exploitation and expand access to electronic evidence, facilitating extradition of cybercriminals. Advocacy groups and 6 Democratic senators warn the treaty risks legitimizing censorship and human rights abuses. To address these concerns, U.S. officials assure that human rights safeguards will be enforced, and the Department of Justice will scrutinize assistance requests. Although the treaty is likely to pass the UN vote, it may face ratification challenges in the U.S. unless human rights protections are enhanced. Coming up after the break on our CertByte segment, we break down a question from the CompTIA Security Plus certification practice test. Stay with us. And now, a word from our sponsor, KnowBe4. It's all connected, and we're not talking conspiracy theories. When it comes to InfoSec tools, effective integrations can make or break your security stack. The same should be true for security awareness training. KnowBe4, provider of the world's largest library of security awareness training, provides a way to integrate your existing security stack tools to help you strengthen your organization's security culture. KnowBe4's Security Coach uses standard APIs to quickly and easily integrate with your existing security products from vendors like Microsoft, CrowdStrike, and Cisco, 35 vendor integrations and counting. Security Coach analyzes your security stack alerts to identify events related to any risky security behavior from your users. Use this information to set up real-time coaching campaigns targeting risky users based on those events from your network, endpoint, identity, or web security vendors. Then coach your users at the moment the risky behavior occurs, with contextual security tips delivered via Microsoft Teams, Slack, or email. Learn more at knowbe4.com/securitycoach. That's knowbe4.com/securitycoach. And we thank KnowBe4 for sponsoring our show. Imagine this. your primary identity provider goes down, whether it's a cloud outage, network issue, or even a cyber attack. Suddenly, your business grinds to a halt. But what if it didn't have to? Meet Identity Continuity from Strata, the game-changing solution that keeps your business running smoothly no matter what. Whether your cloud IDP crashes or your on-prem system faces a hiccup, Identity Continuity seamlessly shifts authentication to a secondary or even tertiary IDP, automatically and without disruption. Powered by the Mavericks Identity Orchestration Platform, Identity Continuity uses smart health checks to monitor your IDP's availability and instantly activates failover strategies tailored to your needs. When the coast is clear, it's a seamless switch back. No more downtime, no lost revenue, no frustrated customers. Just continuous, secure access to your critical applications every single time. Protect your business from the high costs of IDP outages. With Identity Continuity from Strata, downtime is a thing of the past. Visit strata.io/cyberwire to learn how Strata's Identity Continuity can provide seamless enhanced capabilities to your existing identity fabric and receive a free set of AirPods Pro. On our latest CertByte segment, N2K's Chris Hare is joined by Dan Neville to break down a question from the CompTIA Security Plus certification practice test.
Hi, everyone. It's Chris. I'm a content developer and project management specialist here at N2K Networks. I'm also your host for this week's edition of CertByte, where I share a practice question from our suite of industry-leading content and a study tip to help you achieve the professional certifications you need to fast-track your career growth in IT, cybersecurity, and project management. Today's question targets the CompTIA Security Plus exam, which is exam ID SY0-701, targeted for those candidates who already hold a Network Plus certification and have about 2 years of experience in a security or systems admin role. I have my teammate Dan here to help us out today. He's our resident CompTIA expert. One can say maybe you're our captain of CompTIA. Dan, how are you today?
Well, thanks for the welcome, Chris. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad for the promotion from being Lieutenant Dan for so many years to Captain Dan. So that's pretty cool. Thank you.
Yes, well deserved. So, Dan, we're going to turn the tables, and you will be asking me today's question. But while I summon up the courage to answer your question, Dan, I understand you have a 10-second study bit for Security Plus. So what do you have for us?
So this is absolutely crucial. Get a copy of the published exam objectives. If there's a term or a concept in the objective that you don't understand, use your study materials to read up on that term and keep studying it until you can explain it to a 5-year-old, and you'll do just fine.
That's great. That's a great tip. So do you have your Security Plus question ready for me?
Yes, I do. I think I'm ready to launch this one.
All right, hit me.
So, which role and associated responsibility involves managing and overseeing the use of systems and data, ensuring compliance with security policies and regulations? All right. So your choices are A, owners, B, custodians and stewards, C, processors, or D, controllers.
Okay. So, Dan, there is a precedent with this series where I remind my listeners of my limited technical acumen with these types of exams. So now that's out of the way. What I do know is that this question targets program management and oversight and elements of effective security governance, correct?
Yes.
All right. So coming in from a project management bent, I'm going to think about this in terms of a RACI chart. So RACI, to remind everyone, stands for responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. So I'm going to proceed with this strategy not knowing the answer, and so let's go through them. So the first one is owners. So that sounds more like a role of accountability rather than management. Custodians and stewards. That may be more like hands-on and responsible, so that could be a possible answer. Let's put a pin in that one. Processors, could be likely, but not for something as overarching and overseeing of systems and data and compliance. So maybe that's more of the I in the RACI, in the informed role. And then controllers, that might be more of a legal or compliance role, which would fit the consulted part of the RACI chart, the C in RACI. So using this line of thinking, I'm going to go with B, custodians and stewards. Final answer.
Well, that was a great logical way of working through that.
Thank you.
The correct answer is custodians and stewards.
Yay.
So well done, well done. So they're the individuals, they could be entities as well, who are responsible for the day-to-day management and the protection of systems and data assets. They ensure the proper handling and storage and security of data in accordance with established policies and procedures.
Okay.
Custodians are typically responsible for implementing security controls, monitoring access, and responding to security incidents, while on the other hand, stewards focus on data governance, quality assurance, and metadata management. So that's a lot. So let's sum it up.
Yes. Okay.
Owners have ultimate accountability for the governance and strategic direction of systems and data. Controllers ensure compliance with legal and regulatory requirements related to data processing.
Okay.
Processors handle personal data on behalf of data controllers and implement security measures to protect data. And then finally, custodians and stewards are responsible for the day-to-day management and protection of systems and data assets, implementing security controls, and ensuring data integrity and quality.
Well, that's a great question and great answer explanation. So, Dan, CompTIA says that the Security Plus exam is the most widely adopted ISO ANSI-accredited early career cybersecurity certification out there on the market. In your professional opinion, out of the top 3 popular certifications, Network Plus, Security Plus, and A Plus, which of these would you say is the hardest and why?
Well, I'm going to say that Security Plus is the hardest of the 3. The first time you look at A Plus, it's very broad and wide, a lot of material, but not a whole lot of depth. Networking builds on that. And Security Plus, you have to have elements of A Plus and Network Plus, in addition to the security requirements. So of the 3 exams, Security Plus is the hardest.
Great. All right. That's very helpful to our listeners. So thank you so much for being here today, Dan.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
So are there any upcoming CompTIA practice tests or courses you'd like to promote here?
Ooh, I get to do that.
Yes, you do.
So let's see. Cloud Plus is being updated by CompTIA. We should have that out very shortly. Later this fall, IT Fundamentals has been updated to a new exam called Tech Plus, and we'll have material for that. Pen Test Plus comes out also later in the fall, early in the winter. And the brand new exam, Security X, second of their security expert exams, replaces the CASP Plus, and we'll have all those out end of the year or early beginning in 2025.
Excellent. That's exciting to hear. So thank you, Dan, and thank you for joining me for this week's CertByte. If you're actively studying for this certification and have any questions about study tips or even future certification questions you'd like to see, please feel free to email me at certbyte@n2k.com. That's CertByte@n2k.com. If you'd like to learn more about N2K's practice tests, visit our website at n2k.com/certify. For more resources, including our N2K Pro offerings, check out the cyberwire.com/pro. For sources and citations for this question, please check out our show notes. Happy certifying.
Be sure to visit our show notes for links to the practice test and other helpful resources that Chris and Dan talked about. Quick question. Do your end users always, and I mean always without exception, work on company-owned devices and IT-approved apps? I didn't think so. So my next question is, how do you keep your company's data safe when it's sitting on all those unmanaged apps and devices? 1Password has an answer to this question: Extended Access Management. 1Password Extended Access Management helps you secure every sign-in for every app on every device because it solves the problems traditional IAM and MDM can't touch. And it's now available to companies with Okta and Microsoft Entra, and in beta for Google Workspace customers. Check it out at onepassword.com/cyberwire. That's onepassword.com/cyberwire. And finally, Roger Ver, also known as Bitcoin Jesus, is facing U.S. tax fraud charges over $240 million in token sales, with accusations of evading over $48 million in taxes. Known for his crypto evangelism, Ver claims he's being targeted for his political views and insists he followed professional advice amid IRS crypto tax ambiguity. Arrested in Spain, Ver spent a stint in jail and now awaits a ruling on possible extradition to the U.S. The indictment alleges he hid substantial Bitcoin holdings when renouncing U.S. citizenship in 2014, under-reporting assets and crypto sales. While Ver continues living in Mallorca, practicing jiu-jitsu and hosting friends, his supporters are rallying behind him, decrying what they call unjust prosecution. If extradited, Ver's case could set a precedent as the first crypto-only tax case to go to trial. Bitcoin Jesus might not be walking on water, but he's definitely skating on thin ice with the IRS. And that's the Cyberwire. For links to all of today's stories, check out our daily briefing at thecyberwire.com. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like our show, please share a rating and review in your favorite podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to cyberwire@n2k.com. We're privileged that N2K Cyberwire is part of the daily routine of the most influential leaders and operators in the public and private sector, from the Fortune 500 to many of the world's preeminent intelligence and law enforcement agencies. N2K makes it easy for companies to optimize your biggest investment, your people. We make you smarter about your teams while making your teams smarter. Learn how at n2k.com. This episode is produced by Liz Stokes. Our mixer is Trey Hester, with original music and sound design by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. Our executive editor is Brandon Karp. Simone Petrella is our president. Peter Kilpie is our publisher. And I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Now, a word from our sponsor. The Johns Hopkins University Information Security Institute is currently seeking qualified applicants for its innovative Master of Science in Security Informatics degree program. Study alongside world-class interdisciplinary experts and gain unparalleled educational, research, and professional experience in information security and assurance. Interested U.S. citizens should consider the NSF's Scholarship for Service Program or the DoD's Cyber Scholarship Program. Both scholarships cover tuition, required fees, university-sponsored health insurance, and provide more than $30,000 in an additional annual stipend. Apply for these scholarships to start in the fall semester at cs.jhu.edu/MSSI.